Hello, testing. All right, happy Tuesday. Tuesday, by the way, is the day that we kind of shift around. There's no dedicated person, so between Chris and Andy and myself, one of us will usually take care of Tuesdays, which means as people file in, this is titled the live support session. So if people need help with something, trade ideas related, that's the priority by all means. Because otherwise, you know me, I'll just start talking. But we'll wait for some more people to follow in. So my overall take on the market here is we're kind of in a holding pattern after a really good bounce last week, and we've got earnings, and I think the market is looking towards earnings this week. I believe it's Microsoft tomorrow, Apple Thursday, Amazon Thursday. So I think we have 2 more days really of maybe just some of the sideways grind that we're seeing. And notice that we're still well above my rising 5-day moving average. So I think maybe over the next day or two, we kind of work the space out here, either sideways or pulling back a little bit, and just kind of wait and see what the earnings are going to bring. That's what I think is happening. Um, Last Thursday, I told you guys I've been kind of building a little new administration hedge fund portfolio, we'll call it. Some good names in there. ARQQ is one of them, and I sold some of that earlier just to take some off. But I've resigned myself to the fact that I've got kind of a full boat of 10, 12, 10 things here. And as the market just sways back and forth, it's grinding out time over price. Either, if we look at the daily chart here, there's 2 ways to consolidate. One is by price, which would be that pullback that we haven't seen. The other to consolidate would be sideways, and that's the strongest of the consolidation family. And usually, ideally, we want to resolve to the same side we came into that consolidation out of it, which in this case, hopefully, is up. So, okay, hello. I see a couple questions here. I need help making Pony jump back up. Let's take a look at the stock. Oops, in a second. So let's look at Pony here. The first thing I see is when I pulled up is we had 1, 2, 3, the 4 really good days, but look at why I use this 50-day moving average. When you're wondering where to gauge how high something can go, this is what I'm using. Matter of fact, I did this in BBAI. I took BBAI home over the weekend, got such a great move on Friday that Monday, yesterday, I took it off as we were close to on the open and pre-market because we were right at that blue line. So that's the first thing I saw when I pulled up Pony there. Yeah, traded it the last 4 days. So it's been a good trade around, but now it hit the lid on the ceiling of the 50-day moving average and declining. So I might add, but the good news is on the intraday, you've got this 5-day moving average turning back up. I have these two the same color for kind of good reason. They both kind of mean the same thing to me in different time frames. If you're below the 50-day moving average, your health is not that good. If you're below the 5-day moving average, same thing. But when you're above the 5-day moving average, your short-term health is good. So that's why I like that. Forgot to hit submit on my change to my low stop. Oh, I've been done that. It got triggered. Yeah, yeah. User error happens to me even to this day. I get going way too fast and I'll pull up one stock on the chart and it's not linked to my level 2 box. And I forget to change my level 2 box and I send an order and I double bought something else that I didn't mean to buy. So it happens. Iris, I saw you had a question. I saw they changed Explorer. How do I get the previous settings? Everything's the same in Explorer. There's nothing's been changed as far as I know. Market Explorer window, select strategy. Everything's the same here. And there is some trade wave stuff in there. So I'm not quite sure what you mean, Iris. Sorry. What's up, Perfect Circle? Yeah, wobbly intraday movements, few sectors. I've got kind of a bias on the quant, as you guys saw. Rigetti was the trade of the week. It's not doing as well as ARQQ could. And in the moment, I'm not really pleased with it, honestly. I don't like the way these spiky reversals have come into play. But what it's doing is it's riding this important 50-day moving average. It closed above it yesterday, the day before, and the day before that. So what I need to see on the trade of the week here, and by the way, the stop is like 880 down here. So I don't want to see it stop. I need to see it get back above this 5-day moving average somehow before the close. If you're in the trade of the week, that's what I'm thinking. I'm also in QMCO, and this one was kind of grinding slower as well. Coincidentally, it's now on that 5-day moving average. So when I look at these stocks, I think, it got ahead of itself up here for sure. So, hopefully, worst case possible, it comes back and just holds the 5-day moving average. So now I've just got to watch this thing and say, if QMCO can't hold this 5-day moving average and bleeds into the close, I'll probably get rid of it at the end of the day, because I'd rather have fresh T+1 capital tomorrow, trade settlement capital tomorrow in my 401k to deploy to something new than try to cheer on something that isn't working. That's something I've been doing a lot more of lately since the regulations went from T plus 3 days, 2 days, down to 1 day. So if you sell something at 5 minutes to the close, you get that cash back on the open the next day. And that's been a pretty good game changer. In Market Explorer, you get the guide. So there's the user guide right there. So maybe, it opened up in a new tab. I'm not exactly sure why, but this is what you should be getting when you open the Market Explorer. I'm not sure. The Market Explorer user guide. So if you press that, okay, Market Explorer, that's a video that Michael did. See, this is what that's bringing up. It's basically just taking you to.
Everyone, today I'm going to introduce to you a new
down here. There, just scroll down. It looks like it's working to me. So you're not seeing strategies. The strategies are right here. You just got to scroll down and click into them, I guess. Current Market Explorer strategies. That's what I'm getting when I click on that link, Iris. All right. Thank you for covering this for me. Big news for them. Cut production cost by 70%. Looking to be proud. So yeah, great shift in their model for sure. Thanos. So now it becomes a trade around stock. I believe it was Pace, right? Forgot who it was. Pony, sorry. So yes, so the change in the model and the big news and the headlines manifest here with volume and break the downtrend significantly. So what I would expect from here is just some sideways consolidation, and these moving averages are going to come up underneath to support. When I go through some of my charts, you're going to see a lot of them are going to look like this. And what I call this is like a bird in the hand. The bird in the hand is where you get like 3 or 4 days of sideways action and let these faster moving averages catch up to it, and then they kind of force the issue. So I would say that Pony will confirm, what you're saying, the story you're saying there. It will confirm it when it closes above a green candle, closes above that 50 moving average. Once it's like planting a flag, and saying we have now conquered the 50-day moving average, and we have conquered it by closing. And those numbers go in the books. That's the close for the day. The quants read close above moving average equals whatever. So I believe it's just kind of a key input for stocks. For me, you can ride that first move up like I did in BBAI. We're both kind of in the same scenario. So I'm still watching BBAI, but I'm not interested in tying up my capital here for the next couple of days, as it probably just goes sideways. But and big alert earnings. I'm not going to sit through earnings in BBAI. So I think a lot of stock charts are doing this right now. They're giving us the best of two scenarios, which is the sideways consolidation, not a pullback. And then maybe, just maybe, these earnings this week might be a catalyst to gap the market up and get things to break through the glass ceiling of the 50-day moving average. Great. I'm so glad you get that. I mean, I'm going to be here Thursday again. Thursday is my regular day, but I'm here Tuesday, and I've been doing this a really, really long time, since the mid-90s. Sometimes full-time, sometimes half-time. Currently, I would call it, basic part-time, because I have a full-time job at Trade Ideas, doing many things here, including product development, product support, testing, social media, content. So the style in which I trade now just kind of affords me to look away and do other things. I haven't looked at my P&L since we came on here. I don't even know what it's doing. But the point is, I can really help people if they're interested. I try to help people avoid the big mistakes. What's a big mistake that a newbie would do? Well, they would look at BBAI and go, holy God, look at this. I got to buy this thing. But you have to look back 4 days. Where has it come from? From where has it come? So we're in that consolidation kind of holding pattern right now in chart after chart. And let's actually catch up and see what's going on over here. So these are some of the names I'm in. DJT, in this order, these are the order of best to worst. Definitely been in the money for a while on this one. So DJT had a huge run, which I participated in and took some off. Now I'm just resolving myself to the fact it's going to go sideways to drifting lower. It just needs to do that. And intraday here, it's starting to break down a little bit below. So I'm resolved to the fact that DJT might give some back. Yes, please. These noon sessions are great. Chris, I watched Chris yesterday. He's amazing with helping people with, trading their scans and B+ stuff. But, I try to help people more with the psychology of trading and avoid the mistakes. And I've been doing it a lot longer than Chris. Chris is good at it, but his specialty is diagnosing an issue. I'm more superficial on that. I do my best to help. Lots of XRP ETFs coming out tomorrow. Yes, a Leverity EXRP. That's exciting, Patrick. I'm very excited for XRP. Here's the silver chart. We've talked a lot about how silver has been suppressed compared to gold. Look at gold. That's a big story that's being told here. But XRP, by the way, this is the first time in a long time. Let's get into crypto a little bit here. This has been kind of a dark 4 month period, because I say that because here's my 50-day moving average. The price has been ill. The price has been under the 50-day. But about 6 days ago, there's our close above the 50-day. And look at what that did. It's held. So that's that signal I was talking about earlier. Once the price reclaims the 50-day SMA, good things could start to come. Now we've got a nice crossover coming here of the 10 SMA above the 50. I think all things look good for XRP. And let's go to the big guy, Bitcoin. Same thing. Bitcoin basically chopped around the 50-day for a long time and then established itself right here. Got a crossover of the 10 and it was off to the races. Now Bitcoin has been consolidating, as I said, the stronger of the two scenarios sideways. Likely Bitcoin is going to resolve higher. So I'm also in some XLM. Same thing. Again, these were a long 4 or 5 months where the price was under the thumb of the sellers. But we've had kind of a change of the winds here. XLM. I'm also in HBAR. Same scenario there. And this is what I'm starting to call, this is a good example of, called the bird in the hand. So kind of broke out and now the bird is just sitting in the hand. There's no moving average above it. So it's clean air. It's just kind of waiting to take flight. And typically when I see these types of patterns, they do resolve to the upside and take flight. That's why I kind of call it a bird in the hand. So, back to the positions I'm in, the second best one I'm in, well, MindMed, we don't need to use that chart. Go back to our charts. I had mentioned this is kind of a new administration portfolio, right? So RFK Jr. is probably going to really take these pharmaceutical companies to the woodshed. A year from now, you probably won't see those ridiculous ads on the news where people are smiling and laughing and then they talk about all the horrible side effects you're going to get. Those are going to go away. It's just a matter of time. And when that does, people are just going to start to say, hey, is there an alternative to better mental health other than Prozac stuff? So, and MindMed is a pharmaceutical, not a pharmaceutical, a nutraceutical, uses psychedelics. That's what I'm trying to say. So if there's a shift globally in this country to psychedelics, this is the company to keep an eye on. So again, I've got some kind of bigger picture new administration ideas going here. Rumble Media is going to compete with YouTube, I believe, and they're doing things with crypto as well. Look at how perfectly that price was just rejected at the 50. So I totally expected all this. You really can't expect price to just go jam through and bleed through the 50 and do that. Price just doesn't do that. It has to take a rest and it has to kind of pull back and check itself. What would you say has influenced you the most in terms of trading and strategy? Who? Okay, Brian. Without a doubt, my friend Brian Shannon. I was just with him in Colorado skiing for a few days. It was glorious. And it was nice to just go to dinner and talk about the markets. And we have the same philosophy. We had the same philosophy about what was happening at the time. We were heading to lows quickly. And I found him on YouTube back in 2009 because he seemed like the only person out there that was worth doing some honest content. Kind of reached out, and that's how it started. So not only is he a good friend of mine and we know each other's secrets, his style has probably influenced me the most because it's the same time frame for the most part. And he has taught me the 5-day moving average. That's where I learned it. And you guys have heard me talk a lot about it in this so far. And the 5-day moving average, that 130 here on my 15-minute chart, was taught to me by him. So yeah, hands down. It's nice to know the person who has influenced me the most is a friend. So that's cool. Trying to think of anybody else. Well, Andy, of course, because he and I have been side by side forever. So we've kind of evolved together as, swing scalpers. We both coined that term, swing scalper. Get positioned. You might sit for a day or two and then boom, day one explodes, hold it overnight. Day two, you start to fade out of it. If it's a giant gap up, day two, just sell the gap on the open and be happy. But a day and a half is like my perfect wave that I can ride. and kind of exit and with profits and then redeploy that capital. Otherwise, you just get twisted and you fall in love with 10 different stocks. And then before you know it, you don't have any buying power. And you're just cheering on these charts that aren't doing anything. All right. So yeah, cool. You got a challenge on May 5th to turn 50 into 1 million. If it were me, I'd be, trying to play levered ETFs, get triple leverage on things. I'd be playing small cap stocks for sure. That's where the juice is. That's where all the alpha is. You can't make that kind of money in Amazon and Tesla. So good luck. Be curious to hear, how that goes. May 5th is coming up. May the 5th be with you. Yeah, I'm looking forward to trading those levered XRP ETFs, Patrick, for sure. Does he still use a lot of AVWAP? No, he uses AVWAP mostly. Like if I'll send him something and say, hey, what do you think? He'll start sending me AVWAP charts. But as I did kind of disclose last week, he still religiously uses this 130, this 5-day moving average. And what do I mean by the 130? If you're not familiar, if you just take a simple moving average and you create 130 periods, that divides perfectly into 15-minute candles of a 5-day trading window. So you get this beautiful smoothed out 5-day moving average on this time frame rather than trying to add to this time frame where it just kind of becomes useless. All right, going down the line, ARQQ, as I said, I'm trying to position myself in some of these quant stocks. I don't know if they're going to do it or not, but if they're going to do it, I'm positioned. So I sold a third of this one already. This is the best looking quant I've got. Oklo, I want to be positioned in some of those nanonuclears. All right, so here's another bird in the hand, right? Sideways, 4 days of sideways action. I'll take that any day of the week because it's just riding along the support of the 10 and the 20. So this is what I call the bird in the hand setup. Hopefully it'll take flight. Kodak, I might have to cut Kodak at the end of the day if it doesn't behave. It needs to shape up a little bit more than it's doing. What I think of Tesla, let's do something else too. It's doing what I expected it to do. As a matter of fact, Andy and I came in long Tesla. We actually took it into earnings, added to it. I had a pretty good chunk and started just fading out. And I said, what am I doing in this thing? It's just beating up against the 200-day moving average. I bet you, Steve, you can buy this thing back cheaper. So that's me not getting married to the fact that, oh, I nailed my position. I nailed the entry. Well, great. At some point, you can let that entry go. That's all ego. Trade around it. Give yourself a new opportunity, maybe down here. See that blue line I have in there? That blue line, it's there for a reason. I'm trying to maybe anticipate a convergence of the 5-day moving average and another pullback. And so if it does do that, what's it going to do? It's going to trigger me, and I very well might play it in my live account. And that's how I think is a good way to do things, because if you don't, like I said, you'll just start falling in love with everything that you've got on your portfolio. Like I just said, Kodak, it's going to have to shape up. I don't like that. It's just, I don't know. There's something about it I don't like. It needs to close a little stronger. Otherwise, it's going into the cash pile for tomorrow. I'm in GameStop. Why am I in GameStop? Well, again, believe it or not, this is a new administration play. How is that so? Well, I think Trump has a new SEC chairman that was just sworn in, and he has vowed to kind of go after the short sellers, the naked short sellers. And GameStop is the poster child of naked short selling, as well as DJT. And that was honestly one of the reasons I think it started to run. Devin Nunes started making comments, the CEO of DJT. And I think the short sellers that might have been naked, if not, who knows, they got scared. So that's why I'm in GameStop. I have no theory as to why I should be in GameStop other than if something happens with the SEC, it's a headline play. And if a headline comes out and says the SEC is cracking down on naked shorts, well, we might find out real quick how many naked shorts are in there. Going down the line here, Nibis, I just bought this about half an hour before I came live. It's another AI stock. It's a Russian stock, but here's another bird in the hand example. Look at that. Nice pop above the moving averages and then slides sideways. So it's literally the anatomy of like a trend change. Just it's a process. It's not a one-day event. Is there a good scan for penny stocks? Yeah, you're right. They probably don't respond well to TA, especially technical analysis. When they don't have good volume, things start to get goofy. I don't necessarily have a good scan for penny stocks. I would use a lot of relative volume for sure to just try and weed out the stuff that's not in play. So, you could cap your price at $1 and say, but only show me things that are doing a relative volume of 50 to 1, maybe something egregious like that, to weed out all the other stuff. And I'm seeing some green come through my tickers. Wouldn't be surprised if the spies are kind of perking up. Nope, they're not. But I see this guy here is just kind of giving some green. There's a lot of stocks going to highs. All right, so I was going to talk about this one too, because this is kind of interesting. So I just talked to you guys about the 5-day moving average. This is a scan that's built. Ooh, look at that. Is that pretty or what? This is a scan that's built to show me new lows touching the 5-day moving average. And so in real time, NTRA came back and tagged it and alerted me. That's the power of trade ideas. To take like a contrarian entry. Oh, look at this bird in the hand setup. It's above its, it's a really good looking chart. Normally I don't like to play stocks that are this high priced, but that's a beautiful looking chart. I'm going to just put a price alert in this one just for good measure. So at least I know if it goes. But that's what I'm seeing across the board. A lot of sideways consolidation. And I feel like it's going to resolve to the upside. Otherwise, I would not have any positions if I didn't have that conviction. So back to Nibis. Just took this one just now. Pretty much flat. The stocks I'm underwater in now. Okay, so now I'm underwater in Quamco. As we looked earlier, I said it needs to hold this 5-day. If it doesn't hold this 5-day, I will cut it at the end of the day. It needs to hold that. We still have a few hours. And so one of the bad mistakes you can make as a swing trader is getting upset that it's testing it and then saying, well, I'm not going to stick around for the test. I'm just going to sell it here because I'm scared. And when it bounces, you feel like a fool. So I wait till the end of the day. The end of the day will tell the true story is if it really wants to hold that line or not. And so Kodak, QMCO, you guys are both on notice. If you can't get anything going, I'll turn you into cash. HYMC, Patrick knows this one. This one's one of my go-to favorites, small cap gold miner. And the gold miners have been kind of hot lately. This is also a possible rare earth play. And I think if this new administration were to pick a favorite, it could be something like this in the Nevada desert. I don't know. Also, there's some possible naked shorts in this stock as well. So that's the reason I'm in that. And then bringing up the rear is my horrible trade of the week call in Regretti. Regretti is what I'm calling it now. Regretti, I'm calling it. But like I said, end of the day tells the story. We did a little double tap on a new low here, actually a triple tap. So see what I'm talking about? There was the first low. Testing those people with a second low, running the stops. Testing those people with a third low. I know it's the trade of the week, but if it doesn't do something, this thing's down pretty good for me. I hate to say it. I wish it wasn't, but I need to see some bounce before the end of the day. So yeah, back to this guy. This is a cool little scan, and I'm happy to share it. Do they all work? No, but when we go back in hindsight throughout the day, okay, that one kind of held. That one got sloppy, but has so far been holding. Expedia was another perfect tap. It just kind of knocked on that technical indicator and bounced immediately. So I think maybe I mentioned, maybe I didn't, but okay. So let me get into this. You know, Dan will be in tomorrow, and people will talk about questions about the money machine. And the way the money machine is evolving and testing is you'll be able to take a scan that you like, or some scans that we can create too, put on the shelf, and run them. But they have to be ran as a top list. So let me just try something here. I'm going to have to collaborate this setting in an alert window. And then I open a top list with the intention of maybe paste. Okay. So now that you have this, we can turn that into a tree map. Oops. Let me go change some clothes. So let's see. Let's do this. I'm glad I'm doing this now, because this is something I really need to do in reality, and kind of get ready for the testing that's going to be coming my way. Back to configure. In my columns, I want to see change in the last 15 minutes. So it's not there. I got to find it. Change in the last 15 minutes %. Show column. Why do I want to show the column? Because this is what I want to sort the entire premise of the money machine on. Okay. Okay, so now it's basically looking at, let me just do something here real quick. Show you both versions of this. So that's the tree map. This is what the money machine will run off of. And so what I'm getting at here is I'm considering maybe deploying my simulator in testing the money machine with this particular strategy, and just trying to find things that trigger and pop up here on this scan as being close to the 5-day moving average. Let's dig a little deeper so you can understand more. Not only is it close to the 5-day moving average, it's up in the last 5 days. It's got to be up at least 3%. So these are stocks that are likely above their 5-day moving average. Excuse me. And they're coming back to challenge at midday. And usually that can be a nice contrarian buying opportunity as a day trade or a swing trade. Right here, I could even tighten these up a little bit, but as long as the stock is no more than 0.1% below the 130 and 0.1% above, it's going to show up likely on this top list and has decent relative volume. So of all these stocks, the money machine will track which one's been doing the best in the last 15 minutes and continue to hold those. Now, they may drop off this scan because they move higher on above. Like, let's see, EXPE is not on here. You see that? It's not on there because this is the window we're scanning for. So in theory, once the money machine is deployed and I buy a stock automatically and it starts to move up on a change in 15-minute window, that'll stay in the simulator. That's kind of the concept that we're going to be working towards and that I'll be testing on. So it's just a proof of concept in my mind. I was thinking, oh, some new ones just came in. So, you know, the money machine would evaluate anything new. And if something starts to degrade, then maybe it might sell something and try something new. Let's see what just came in here. Okay, this one's coming up back through it. Oh, that's interesting. Anyway, just something to play with. But what I will do, guys, is I'll share this scan because I've sat here and I've talked about how some of these stocks like Expedia just pulled back and just perfectly nailed that. Okay, this one just was a fresh one that just came through. It's got earnings in May, but look at how it sold off, ran the stops, triggered the scan and bounced right at. I mean, if you're quick and you see these and they don't bounce too quick on you, you can get some really nice painless entries that don't turn red pretty quickly or at all. All right. So, Regretti, you need to bounce some more for me, pal. You need to get back above 9 quickly. And then you need to get back above 915 after that. And if it can do that, then on the daily, we'll have a nice wick to the downside. A nice wick to the downside, showing a maybe support, kind of a tail. But long day to go still. ARQQ has just been curiously strong all day, and I'm glad I'm in it. It's a great looking chart. Again, there's my theory that technically it was the first day it closed above the 50 after being rejected here and here and here. There's day one right there. Well, after day one, there was really no pain back below the 50. So it's one of the rules I've noticed. You know, if I'm stocking something, I need to see a close at the end of the day above. And mind you, if I see something I like that closed above 5 minutes to the close and I have money and buying power, I'll buy it as a new position with 5 minutes to go, simply because it looks like it's going to reclaim and conquer the 5-day movement, a 50-day moving average. You see Kodak moving up. That's good. I need that. That was telling, he heard me tell him earlier, if you don't shape up, I'm going to cut you. MindMed, I'm in that. That's looking really nice. Oh, this might be the first day MindMed closes above a 50. Now, we still have a flat, and this is a brick wall of the 200-day looming above, but hey, that's another hurdle to clear if it can do that. All right, guys, I get to rambling, but if you have any questions, if somebody's like, oh, I'll wait for him to stop talking. Just go ahead and just ask your question. I can look at a chart if you're curious. I mean, there's probably a lot of interesting charts out there that, you know, some might look like they're ready to do something, like MindMed here, and Nibis, I believe, also looks pretty tantalizing to me. So if you're late, I'm thinking, yeah, I'll get to that, David. But if you're late, my philosophy is I grabbed a bunch of stuff last week and sold some stuff, but I still have 70% of what I bought, and I was resolved to the fact that the markets were going to slam head into this 50-day moving average, and likely things were going to give some back or just grind a little bit. And if I want to try and hold positions, I've got to sit through the grind. Well, so far it's been kind to me because there's been no pullback. And that's a strong tell. It just keeps marching sideways with a bit of an upward drift. Now, we've got earnings tomorrow and Thursday that might be a catalyst to move us up through these moving averages with Amazon and Microsoft and Apple. So just kind of hanging on here. And like I said, I'm selling the things that at the end of the day don't look like they're cutting it. And I'll get to that at the end of the day. So far, the ones that were on that list are Kodak, but it's shaping up. Rigotti. Needs to shape up on the daily. And what was the other one? Quamco. QMCO needs to shape up. Okay, cool. A couple of charts requests. David, KOD. So same kind of story. Big oversold bounce. And where did it get stalled? Well, first off, there's your first close above the 50. That was a great sign. They got a gap up above, but then it got caught, just like this MindMed is probably going to get caught in the 200-day. So you have to expect what you're seeing. And we're kind of in the holding pattern, I'm calling it now, for a lot of these names. What you want to watch and see is what happens when the price candles start to get really close to this 10 SMA coming up to meet it quickly. That can be the catalyst that might send it through, because technically that's 1, 2, the third try could easily be. It's very rare that you're going to bust through a 200-day and a 50-day that quickly. You're going to have to do some give and take. Is ENPH a good bounce play? Not really. I'm not liking it. It's in a bad downtrend. It can't even get back to its 10 SMA. It doesn't look like any of the other charts we've been looking at here. However, intraday, you may be early because the first signal of going to challenge this daily 10 SMA and this void that we see here is going to be the first closing candle. So I would wait for the first 15-minute closing candle. And for whatever reason, that might spook the algos that are short, and you might start to see some short covering, and you could get a quick move, up to 50 or better. But for something like that, you're guessing right here because look at what happened. It ran right into it and slammed into it. This is why I use this moving average, you guys, because it works. Just a lot of back and forth, back and forth. We're just watching the clock. We're just biding time until we can get to Microsoft tomorrow and then Amazon and Apple Thursday. So I'm not expecting a whole lot. We're just kind of a lot of press change and rearrange. Yes, third time could be the charm. Exactly. Sometimes it's the second time, but third time really might be the one where the soldiers have a good hold on that battering ram and blast it through. But I mean, for me, for the most part, yesterday was kind of painless and went back a little bit. Today's been relatively painless because I've got some good ones that are just paying for the bad ones. And hopefully the bad ones are going to shape up by the end of the day, especially Rigotti, because that's the trade of the week. What I call this the pinch play is where we start to get the 10 guiding the price lower, but the 5 days trying to hold it up right. So one of these two are going to win. It's either going to bounce back up through it or it's going to give way and come down. And that's what'll probably be the nail in the coffin if I stay to the close. Oh, I was going to show you something earlier. Somebody was asking about Tesla. So I've got this little chart here with the trade wave on it. And let's look at Tesla in the current 5-minute view. Still a buy tag. So what about the 15-minute view? Still a buy tag. Just came in. So it's not pulling back. Once again, it's just another one of those charts that's just not going to pull back. It hit its upward resistance and it's going to grind off the consolidation sideways. Most of the strong charts are doing that right now. Dutch Brothers, bear flag breakdown. Yeah, it's not looking good intraday. It's broke down and now the 10 SMA intraday has a hold of it. However, there's still some support there with a gap to fill on the daily. It's a guess on this one, really. It could go either way. That's a chart that would frustrate me and just feel like I'm tying up capital. What I do is I might add to DJT when it comes back and flushes the people out and touches that moving average. It's called a trade around. So like I kept like, a third of it up here, knowing that I might buy a third of it back cheaper. So after, 3 or 4 days of selling, 3 days, if it pulls back, usually on the opening 15 minutes too is when the stops get run. And these strong stocks get driven down hard in the first 15 minutes. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to just reposition one of these things. I'll use that high right there. So if it drives down and touches that moving average, that's probably going to be my cue to add to it. And we call that a trade around. Fade it out, kept a little bit just to keep it on the radar, and then start buying back into it. Just trying to time the jump rope. Oh, that's a happy signal, Quamco trying. Okay, so we were just talking about that pinch play. You got 1 minute before the candle closes. Half a minute. If I can get a nice big green pop right there, that might be like a statement intraday that this thing doesn't want to quit yet. Oklo, I'm in this. I talked last week about this. I put a 15-minute high, 30-minute high, and a new high. Same with lows. So I can quickly kind of keep track of stocks I'm interested in or stocks that I'm in as I see them come through this little ticker here. Oklo is looking strong. So things are kind of firming up a little bit. But I still feel like the bigger picture, we're at the market, we're waiting for these big earnings. Did I create something called a pinch once? I think I might have. No, I guess I never did. Yeah, I did. There it is. It was really, it was case sensitive. Okay. Okay. I had to type a capital P. So let's load that. So what did we do in the past? Pulling it off the shelf here, we used two moving averages. The 10, minimum 0.1, got to be above the 10. The 130, no more than a hundredth of a percent above, but likely cozied up within 0.5% under it. So with these two settings here, everything we look at when we start clicking through should wind up with a pinch play. Look at that. Wow, I totally forgot about that one, Jay. Look at that. While I'm thinking about it, let me give these two scans out because I did tease that. Okay, I believe that's the pinch play. And then the pull back to the SMA 130. If anybody wants to play with these, you can open these with the cloud and use them. So the setting, we got the filters in there. The 10 is simple. We've got to be above the 10. But the way I've used these negative numbers, negative 0.5, let's see, let's explain it here. Well, we can't explain it. Let's explain it there. Here's our 130 stocks where the value is between just a negative 0.5% and no more than a 100th of a percent above it. So as they get close to and tuck under it, we're going to see these two converging lines. And by configuring it that way, we've found some pinch plays. That one's not as defined. That one's not as defined. That one's kind of a mess. For the most part, that first one we saw was interesting. And it just dropped off because it probably broke through. So the idea is to show you the pinch plays, and then as they resolve, that's the trade that you take. And then it disappears from the scan. Okay, AJ, is it possible in Market Explorer to create a list that includes... When you say Market Explorer, there's really no ability to configure or create anything. The Market Explorer is a hard-coded menu, so it is what it is. So there's our main menu. The things that I find the most value probably would be that trade wave, the daily and the 5-minute. Those could be interesting. The only thing you can do is sort what you're given. So if I was to look at the trade wave 5 minutes, I'd say, show me the ones that are doing the most volume. And then we can bring the volumes to the top. So all you can do is sort based on the data that you have in there. There's really nothing to add or configure in the Market Explorer. You would probably have to open up, go, no go, or I think that's what you mean, and the trade wave. It's two separate windows, and then see if your eyes can catch a Venn diagram of an overlap. That's probably the only way to do it. But I do like this trade wave, and I don't necessarily use it but I love it for new users because new users, they kind of need that confirmation. They kind of need it, and it helps. And I know what I want to see. Let's see. Andy says, oh, okay, there must be a headline coming out. Either that or it's just, it's just the tired back and forth gyrations that I expect. It's a slugfest back and forth. And it's a slugfest basically waiting for, I believe, this space right in here. We still have a lot of white space there between the rising. Okay, the market got really ahead of itself. So again, the good news is we're consolidating sideways, and it seems to me we're already halfway through today. We're going to have some earnings by the close of tomorrow on Microsoft. So we're a day and a half away from some significant major big tech earnings. And I think that'll either be the catalyst that hurts us or helps us. Hopefully helps us. I don't use anything for news alerts. Occasionally, if I see something, I'll just go up here and click on news to see if there's any news for it. But for news alerts, I would just use like, I can show you something you could use. Spike. Spike is the key word. 1 minute volume spike might be a good one. Change in 5 minutes or change in 1 minute, maybe something crazy like 3%, something that you would use as a technical indicator to identify a major pop that just, you're not going to be faster than the algorithms that are reading the news. The news reading algorithms will pop the price, then there'll be some sort of a kind of give back. But a scan like that just tries to catch something that's just exploding out of nowhere will usually point you towards news, just not the actual headline. You're just going to see the price action. I don't think we could export. There's no export function, but I mean, can we scrape? Can we? Can we try that again? Can I? Let me try that again. Can I scrape and then Control V? Let me see if that does anything. Oh no, Control C. Let's try that again, Steve. Basic remedial keystroke command. Control copy. And then Control paste. Well, I basically pasted it into a Google sheet. So, I mean, you could just grab those symbols as such and then create a symbol list from there. It's kind of a manual drag, but it could be done. Send a symbol list. Okay, let's try that again. There's no reason it shouldn't be there. You're probably right. So we'll just grab a strategy. CRS, right click CRS, send CRS to. Yes, so you can't do them as a batch, but you could do them individually. And so if I wanted to send CRS to my little symbol list down here, my 401k that I watch, we could do so just like that. You can also save to CSV. Pepe's correct. Pepe, the honorary Trade Ideas Support cast member. Save results to CSV. So a few different ways. First way I did it was probably pretty cumbersome. No, I don't use TweetDeck anymore. I just went, actually, they might still have it, but I just got used to the Twitter. I like that. I like the grok on there sometimes. to explain something to me. So yeah, however you want to accomplish that, David. It looks like it could be done. Oh, the time is sneaking up on me. I've got to run. Like I said, I do have a job here, and got to show up to some meetings here. Thought about playing that Hertz earlier today, but I kept reminding myself, what are you going to do? You're going to go back to the well. This thing paid me so well. Usually when you go back to the well on something, it doesn't work, but it sure is like tantalizing here as it's coming back and touching the 10 SMA. Keep an eye on that, but I keep talking myself out of this trade. It's so far up. It's kind of just, it's way too squirrely. All right. You're welcome all. Thank you, Pepe. Thanks, Jay. And I'll be back Thursday. So see some of you guys back then. Thursday. Bye.